and welcome to Sporting Jibberish. I'm Stuart Booth.
I'm Jack Luffman.
On today's show, we are going to be looking transfers, the ins and outs, the comings and goings, the winners, the losers, who's got a bargain, who's been ripped off. Going to have a look at that. You're going in a little bit blind on this.
Very blind because, other than saying it's about transfers, you don't know what you're going to bring up. So I like it.
Yeah,
it's good.
Well, we're going to have a little bit of a broad spectrum. We're not going to focus on one club. We'll jump around a few. We won't get a chance to cover all of them, but we'll have a little look at some potential movements and see how they may impact for the rest of the season. A little bit about cricket, a little small segment because there's some news that's just come out. But we're going to start off with our sporting week. And aside from getting your spanking in the competition last week against the professionals, you were back in action in the DSL.
DSL, yeah.
Against top Gunners.
You got that right, because it's the fourth time we've done it. So you got that right.
Arsenal.
That's why we have to beat them. But yeah, so they were unbeaten. I'm from 3 from 3, and I'd actually thrashed their opponents all 3 times. So we were looking forward to it. There were, as I think I mentioned last week, we were strong. The captain had to make 2 or 3 difficult calls. So as chairman, I was glad that I didn't have to contact those players, so to speak. But it's good, and we had a good day. Good day at the office. We actually bowled them out for 121 inside the 25 overs, which was impressive. It was a bit weird that we got them down. So their good batsman opens a batting, and we got him early-ish. He absolutely murdered one at Dave at cover.
Oh, you said
and he hit it, caught it, and he ricocheted up and he caught the rebound. But his hand was in a mess actually last week, so that was good. And then we took a couple of more.
It's good that his hand was in a mess.
No, it was good that he caught it.
All right, okay, just checking.
Bless him. We can't have the captain out, can we? And then we took a few wickets, and so they're Abu Dhabi side actually. So Ben, our wicketkeeper, he's from Abu Dhabi, knew 1 or 2 people, and he said that the guy who got open is a really good player, and they've got a guy who comes in 5 or 6 usually who's good. Well, he didn't come in. I think they're trying to be too clever. They obviously usually get him to bat, I don't know, the last 10 or 12 overs or something. He eventually came in at 7 or 8. By that point, they were 50 for 6 or 60 for 6. So very difficult there, and quite a lot of overs gone. So very difficult then for him to do whatever he tries to do without losing a wicket, his wicket, and without losing wickets at the other end. So I think they got themselves in a bit of a mess. We certainly wouldn't have done it like that. As much as you've got a bit of a game plan, at some point your best players have got to bat for as long as they can, haven't they? But fair play to our bowling attack, in particular Kane, who bowled 5 overs straight up at the top, opened the bowling 5 overs, 3 maidens, 2 for 9. Oh, very good. Bowled superbly well.
Sounds like my figures, though.
Yeah, I did say that on the ground. I said, God, Stu, you look a bit like Stu Warden in here. Yes, we restricted them to 121, which is really good, and we knocked them off very comfortably in 16 overs, loss of 1 wicket with the bonus point win.
I was going to say, you get bonus points?
Yeah, so you get a bonus point if you bat second and you chase the score inside 20 overs, you get a bonus point. And if you bowl first, if you bat first, if you restrict your opposition to, I think it's 80% or less of the total, you get a bonus point. So, so we got a bonus point win.
Puts you now?
So I think second, behind Exiles, but they've played a game more than us.
And you play
and we play Exiles tomorrow afternoon. So all good, all looking forward to it. Bit of inavailability though. So Cameron's travelling for work. I think Sid's away. Looks like we might lose him there because I think he's got a job back in England. So, a bit of chopping and changing. But Nav's back, hopefully fully fit. So that's why you've got good players, isn't it? That's why people have got to hang on. When you get a bit disappointed, you've got to stick in, haven't you?
That's why it's important to have a big squad.
Correct. So, looking forward to that tomorrow afternoon.
Excellent.
Big day last night, wasn't it? Big game for you last night.
Yeah, it was our...
I've seen it all over social media.
It's gone off, hasn't it?
It's gone viral.
So before last night, we were 49 games unbeaten. We played Energizers, who were...
Bunnies?
Yeah, they were anything like that, to be honest. I think they were about 5th or 6th in the league, so just a mid-table team. Won 6-1, so hit the record. Well, I don't say hit the record, we already had the record, but just extended that to the big milestone of 50.
Good.
Got a few shout-outs from the order.
I was about to say, before we do with that, I'm going to ask you about that. 6-1, you got 2, including a free kick that is that's the first video that hit social media. Talk me through that. Decent striker.
Yeah, it was. I'll say it's a decent. I'm on the edge of the area. You are talking right on the cusp of the line. We thought we got given a penalty at first. The referee just brought it just outside the area. But it's really strange. The goalie lines his wall up as he should do to cover the front post, so I can't go in that area. And I'm just debating at that point, going, it's quite close to try and get any up or down on it. So you really got to try and almost float it over the wall, but with enough power so the goalie can't get across. So I was umming around about that. But then as I was lining it up and looking at it, the goalie started to creep closer and closer behind the wall. So I was like, he's leaving a huge gap. So I just thought, I'm just going to go across him here. And as I started to, I don't remember which way I was going, as I started to address the ball, he then took another step behind the wall and left a huge gap. And thankfully, it wasn't even a case of it going in the top corner or right in the post. It was just hit hard across. And by the time he'd realised where he'd gone, it'd already gone past him. So
good strike.
Yeah, missed two good chances. Had a third from a really bad angle. So I think overall, I scored a 1-on-1. I was getting hacked down left, right, and centre from the centre half. Scored a 1-on-1. Should have really come away with 4 that night. But puts me second in the league goal scoring chart.
Very good.
So I'm
told
5,
you the gaffer.
Yeah, 5 behind leading goal scoring now. But I think you go back 3 games, I was 9 behind him. So
on the right track. And you mentioned it then. A few shout outs from 1 or 2 people from around the. Firstly, I won't give them all away. I'll let you do the. Linda Lusardi.
Yeah.
I mean, I know you're vets and she's a vet, but I mean, not a vet as in animal vet, as in a veteran. I was a bit disappointed that we only saw a face. And who was the second one?
Oh, we had the dance player.
Bobby George. Who looked half cut.
Looked like he was about to die.
But then the best one.
Oh, well, there's been another one since. So you don't even know about the other one. So, Andy Gray comes on. Andy Gray's on there and he's talking to us about, he's like, congratulations, blah, 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 blah. Everybody keeps mentioning Ian Apper, which is a bit of an end of season tradition for the boys. And then he throws it at the end, he's like, no matter what standard you're at, to go 50 games unbeaten, guys, you need to take a boo.
Take a boo, son.
Yeah. And it was like, that was it. Everyone was like, raw.
And he did say that when he's in Dubai, he's going to go for a beer.
That's what he did say.
So maybe when he's over, well get him on the podcast.
Yeah. And then,
better than the Keys and Gray podcast.
Yeah. And then the other one that we got released today was In Between Us.
Oh, I don't know which. I know the one who does it.
It's the one that he's always nailed so many birds.
Yeah.
And stuff.
I don't know what his character name
and
is.
It is the best because they must have supplied him a list of names of lads, and he's like, right lads, you can come to the caravan club, and we all share in the caravan club. But I've heard about this Murray lad. He needs wellies because he's always in the clunge. And you're like, oh my god. I'll show you that afterwards. It is the best one by a mile. But I think there's another one floating around somewhere, so I'm waiting for that one to be released. But yeah, overall to be involved with this group of lads is, I've said to you before, is that it just seems that I was told that we kind of kick on after Christmas, and I think since Christmas, yes, we drew 1 game, and a game we should have won, but we've almost stepped it up a level, and we actually play top of the league next week. So team we beat last week 4-0, drew 4-4 with top of the league last night, and the team that drew 4 with the Maseratis.
Oh, the Maseratis, yeah.
The Maseratis had 3 players sent off.
What?
And Dubai FC only drew 4 with them. So
if because you've got a few games in hand, if you beat them,
if we beat them, win our games in hand, we go ahead, we go top.
Oh, it's game on then, isn't it?
So it's getting interesting because the Irish have started to pick up now. So it looks like the Turks VIP are going to be there and thereabouts. Maseratis obviously lost to us and lost a couple of games, but obviously a big result for them last night. So that still keeps them within the cluster of teams. But I would really say that Turks are hit and miss depending on the player. So it turns out that guy that was really good used to play for Transborg. So like I said to you, I was like, this guy is the best vet I've ever seen. When he played Transborg Turkish Premier League.
You're going to say they were pretty strong in the early days of Europe. Well, not early days yet. Well, I can remember watching football. They were strong, weren't they?
Yeah.
I remember them featuring on. Did you ever play? Well, you probably one of the Manchester Road to Europe, the computer game.
No.
And it was a bit like early FIFA. It might have even been a FIFA game, the onset of that. They were a good side in that transfer. Yeah.
But he was a very good player. So yeah, they've got a few good players. Irish, as I said, have just kicked in. Dubai FC. I looked at their squad last night and I was a little bit like, they didn't look all that. So it'll be interesting come next week because that's the big game. So roll on next week, another game. We've hit the 50, so it's not like you're waiting for another number now, is it?
No, it's a very 100.
Yeah.
It's a very. I think in sport, some people underestimate things. So, like getting 100 in cricket is so difficult as a batsman because you've effectively got one chance.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter what level you get at. If somebody can get 100, you've done bloody well.
Yeah.
I don't care what anybody says. And like to do 50 games unbeaten, I remember my old man managing one of the years he managed Bosch United Reserves. They went the whole season unbeaten, undefeated, and won the league. Yeah, they were playing. I think it was a links league, so semi, sort of one below the level where you would have played in in the tier system. And yes, it was when Bosch United were fairly strong, so that there was quite a lot of first team as at points. But he also used a lot of juniors as well at times. But it doesn't matter.
No.
If you go through a season unbeaten or 50 games unbeaten, like Andy Gray said, Deacon Bell.
Yeah, well, I think that's spanning over 2.5 seasons now.
Unbelievable.
So yeah, keep going. So
and it's a decent level as well, isn't it? When you come watch it, it's difficult. Like obviously you're not going to come watch it, but it is a decent standard of football.
It's obviously it's not. I think people underestimate how quick it is. It's not lightning fast, but it's still played with a bit of pace, and play still zip the ball in, and people's touches still need to be there, and movement needs to be around in and around.
And there's some good players playing still. Remember, Vet Series 35 plus, is it?
35 plus, yeah.
So you've still got. It's not exactly oldies. It's not like walking football back in the day, is it?
No, far from it. We'll start with the cricket bit because the football bit's quite.
What do you mean cricket's not interesting?
Well, I wasn't going to say that. I was just going to say yours is small, mine's large, but then that's just part and parcel of life, unfortunately, Jack. But
so you use it.
It is also not important. But we'll crack on with you first.
Yeah. So obviously, there are two little things actually. Firstly, the women's test match finished unbelievable. It was going on last week and eventually ended in a draw with England needing 13 off 2 overs with 1 wicket left. They then lost yesterday in the ODI, so that now means that they can't regain the Ashes, but if they win the next 2 ODIs they can tie the series, so obviously they've got a bit to play for, but unfortunately it seems like they're going to follow the suit of the English boys. Talking of which,
big news from the England camp.
Big news. I'm pleased with. So
the petition's finally paid off.
Yeah, I've just got a one-way line to Andrew Strauss, haven't I?
Right.
So basically, Ashley Giles, who is I don't know what his name is, Director of England Cricket, I think. So top dog, resigned, sacked, mutual, whatever it is. Rightly so, absolutely rightly so. And Sir Andrew Strauss has stepped back into the role on an interim basis because he was the incumbent that got the white ball stuff going, but of course had to resign from it because of the illness to his wife and ensuing her passing, unfortunately. So he's got the interim role, and his first job is he's sacked the coach and the assistant. So he sacked the coach, Chris Silverwood, and I've just read actually just before we came on and did this that Thorpe, who is actually one of my heroes, actually growing up, he's now resigned as assistant coach as well. So no coaches, new director of cricket or England, so Strauss has taken over there. But I have seen it looks like Root's going to keep the captaincy. That Strauss has spoken to. There's a quote flying around that Root's battered and bruised, but wants the energy and got the energy and wants to take the side forward. So I think. I've said that here, and people who know me, I've never been a Joe Root fan as a captain. I think he's a poor captain. However, I don't think there's anything else to do it.
I was going to say to you, his logic would say if you're having a fresh start, you fresh start everything, don't you? But like you're saying, if there's no natural second...
I don't think there is. I mean, I think the only person the problem is that actually... There's very few players in that side at the minute that are established, which is an issue. So you've either got to go, if you go with an established player, you've got Root, you've got Stokes, but there's obviously some concern about his mental well-being and things like that. So is it the right thing to add the captaincy to it? I don't think so. I personally would still say that Anderson and Broad are shoe-ins. They probably see it differently, the hierarchy. However, they're both towards not in the twilight of their careers, they're towards the end of their career. So, they wouldn't be the right people to do it, unless you gave it to someone like Stuart Broad for an 18-month period, as a caretaker role almost kind of thing. So maybe you stick with who you know, or you go completely left field and you pick a guy who is on the verge of the side, or maybe is in the team, but he's a good captain. So I know this isn't where I'd go, but I know like Rory Burns is a good captain for Surrey. I think David Milan's done it for Middlesex and a bit for Yorkshire. Sam Billings, who made his Test debut, is highly regarded as a captain around the world. Actually, he's done a little bit of here and there in the IPL. So, but while I wouldn't be against Billings, I think the problem there would be that it blocks the route for my man Folkes as the wicketkeeper. So probably sensible says you go with Root.
Not nobody
else. He's gone, mate. You need to keep just because he's a Preston boy. So yeah, that's where we're at. Now, obviously, we've got a Test match series in March against the West Indies. So it'll be interesting. I suspect they'll appoint somebody on an interim basis, ready to appoint somebody completely fresh for the English summer. Don't be surprised if you see Justin Langer, the Australian coach, come.
Ooh.
Because can you believe it that they don't think his contract's going to be renewed, or he's going to have to reapply for his job after winning the T20 World Cup and the Ashes?
Yeah, but to be fair, the Ashes were a bit of a walkover anyway. So that was a hard thing, was it?
You say that as a little bit dig at me, but you're probably not far wrong.
No,
you're not far wrong.
Right, so we'll keep an eye out on that. Right, transfer talk. So the window closed Monday evening. A lot of happenings. Particularly, we're a little bit earlier in the day, so Sunday through Monday we saw a little bit more action than probably normal, leading into the Monday night. It wasn't as frantic as normal, but there's been a few surprises. There've been a few potential superb buys, but then also could be looked at as very dangerous. And we're just going to run through a few.
Okay.
So I want to start with your favourite team, Arsenal. They brought in one guy, but he's not actually in here. He's staying in America. So his name is Austin Trusty, and he's at Colorado. So he's not due, and he's a defender. He's not due to arrive till the summertime, so I don't think he's due till pre-season. But then they let go a lot of players. So Banyang's gone, Falarin, Balogun, he's on Middlesbrough on loan. Ainsley Maitland-Niles is a big one.
He's gone to Roma, yeah?
He's gone to Roma on loan.
Yeah.
Kalashnik.
Oh, yeah, the left back, yeah.
He's gone on a free. Callum Chambers has gone to Villa, which we'll talk about. And they were the notable ones. But what is interesting is Arsenal that I've got rid of, or either out on loan or on sale, is 2, 4, 6, 10, 12, 14, around about nearly 18 to 20 players, which then springs up Arsenal's current first team squad. So at the moment they have 21 first team players. Okay. Surely, as an Arsenal fan, this has been a terrible window for you.
Of course, I'm going to try and take the Spurs hat off here in a true journalistic style and be neutral, play Switzerland. You've got to be, because I'm assuming that 21, there's got to be 3 goalkeepers, I would have thought. You haven't got it, but you've got to have at least 3 goalkeepers, you would think. So that's down to massive 18 outfield players. How many do they name on the subs? But their name's 17.
Yeah. You're
basically, you're naming your old squad on Saturday afternoon.
You're saying that if you have 2 or 3 injuries, you are delving into youth.
Yeah.
Under 23s, 21s.
Ultimately, I think we're both I think we need to see more. We've had a bit of a narrative around the last few pods. I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. However, like I said, if you're an Arsenal fan, not only are you bare bones in it, you've got rid of your captain, or the guy who started the season as your club captain, and arguably your best player.
I wouldn't say potentially best player. I think there's a lot more quality there. I think they've got rid of a bad egg. I think he's seen something that is not right in him, and it's not the first time issues have been raised around Aubameyang.
No.
And there was a particular stint before he got his new contract where he's been a bit of a smacked bum.
Yeah.
But I think for Arsenal my concern for Arsenal fans is, you are depleted. Right, you don't have European midweek games to worry about. You don't have certain fixtures to worry about. But you've got a good opportunity there to hit hard for top 4
Yeah, because that fourth place is wide open, isn't it?
This could have been a great opportunity with some savvy buys, like getting somebody in as a backup striker to Lacazette, or even be looking at somebody that replaces Lacazette. All right, Martinelli is class act in his day. Saka's very, very good. Odegaard's very good. You've got...
I do rate him.
What's the young lad, double-barreled name?
Oh, Smith Rowe.
Smith Rowe, he's an excellent player. But you take out 2 or 3 of these guys with injuries and suspensions... COVID, then you're suddenly really struggling and batting around the place.
It is bizarre. I wonder whether... And I think sometimes, I think I've said it before regarding even Spurs or clubs. I wonder whether behind the scenes it is the continuation of the Arteta revolution, if you like, where get rid of Deadwood, or want to make sure. And if you've got a smaller squad, you've got to give people a chance. You've got to stick to people. And whether moving forward, that's where it's going to go. And behind the scenes, they've gone. If we're going to try and get top 4.
Yeah.
But if we don't make it, we should get top 6. We should get Europa League football. But it's next year that we'll go again.
Yeah, but on that, I'm pretty sure that I read that they've only got 3 registered centre halves.
Yeah, I said last week we talked about Callum Chambers going to Villa. I'm not saying he's absolutely world class. Strange to let him go when you've got nobody else to come in.
Yeah, Villa. I'm going to park Villa because we talked a bit about Villa last week with regards to what they've gone in. Now this is an interesting one, and there's an element of a fairy tale story to this, and you being a Spurs fan will absolutely love the narrative behind this and the fact that he's back here and they're back playing. And I bet part of you really still wishes that he would have come to Spurs. But my concern is has he still got that ability to still perform at the level that we expect and the level that we saw? And I don't want to dash anybody when we talk about fairy tale scenarios because there is an element of romance with football. We always love that. But when he left Spurs, he was awful.
Yeah, he'd gone downhill, hadn't he? He's certainly, and I think maybe that was, we spoke earlier about managers at Spurs, didn't we? And Pochettino would have sacked him. No, I think we needed to back him in the transfer market. And obviously things had gone a little bit stale there, and I think Eriksen was a bit the same. And of course, then once he'd said, and it was quite well documented in the Amazon documentary, wasn't it, that he wanted to go. I think, a fair play to him. He did keep playing. He kept coming off the bench. And he had 1 or 2 cameos under Mourinho early on, but ultimately he went. It is because I've said it before, I said it again, you talk about different people, and you're going to be signing up, you're going to mention the guy from Burnley in a minute or two, the striker in the Bundesliga, and how many goals you get. The Premier League is the best league in the world and the most difficult. So, Eriksen coming back, take your first point, as a Spurs fan, one, I'm delighted that he's back, because I've seen him live, and he is class at his best. He was class, glided around the pitch, pick a pass, brilliant player. And you're dead right. Why no Spurs haven't had a look at him? Because remember Conte knew him from Milan, and he's the kind of player that we are absolutely crying out for on a free transfer. I'm guessing a contract would be on a game-by-game basis because there's got to be an element of protection.
So, yeah, he wasn't allowed to play in Italy because they don't allow pacemakers.
The pacemaker, yeah. So, my old man's already been on. Me and Christian Eriksen have got something in common because my dad's got a pacemaker. I was like, that's probably about the only thing we've got in common.
They're about the same weight, aren't they, in height?
Weight, football ability, money. Yeah, no, just a pacemaker. And anyway, so I'd love Spurs to sign him. But you're dead right. There's got to be a question mark over, can he do it? Has he ever been in a club where I think they're going to be scrapping for the relegation? So that takes a different element to it. What is his sight like about when he's actually going? Because let's face it, from the moment, unfortunately, he collapsed in the Euros, he's not played at full. He won't have played at full whack.
No.
So and the adrenaline. So how is he going to cope with that? Look, I hope it works out because I think Brentford have got a bit about them as well. But we shall see. But did you see what's happened to their shirt sales?
Have they gone through
30 times as many from all around the world because the 21 once they released it. So yeah, like you say, we all love a bit of romance in sport and football. Let's hope it works out for them and for him. And you never know because my guess is it's only. I've not seen it. I'm assuming it's only until the end of the season.
Yeah, I think so.
Because he's obviously a free agent. If it goes well and he plays well, then you never know. He might end up back at Spurs.
I just don't know if it's into that team. They're a quick-paced attacking team. I just don't know. I just, take the incident out completely. I just don't see it. I just don't see what he's going to bring to that team.
Set
Yeah, potentially. But right, you did mention this is almost like Jack's reading my phone. Whee! But yeah, we are going to move over to Burnley, and they have just signed Wout Weghorst, who's a Dutch fella, who currently ranks in at 6'6".
Big fella.
So
nearly as big as your Harry.
Yeah, just under Harry's height. But I think it fits the mould for Burnley. A big lad, quite physical, puts himself about a bit, but has a surprisingly strong goal scoring record behind him.
Yeah, you said that before. I couldn't remember his name, and then when you mentioned it, I was like, yeah, because Burnley's announcement, I think, such a video on Twitter was about. It was like a Jurassic Park movie. I don't know whether there's something to do with a nickname he's got or anything like that. So I do know what you're talking about. I didn't realise his record. So 1 in 2 goals.
1 in 2 in Germany, and then when he was in the Dutch league, he'd already scored over 50 goals. So to his career, I think he's on about 110, 115 goals.
But he's got to do it on a Tuesday night at Turf Moor.
Yes, so that's an interesting one because that could well be a nice little bit shrewd business, and obviously Burnley are known for balls into the box and around there, so it'd be interesting how he does. I just think Burnley, if they're you need to really work on them. If you're going to have a centre forward like that, sort your wingers out because McNeil, as much as I thought he had a lot of promise, just doesn't deliver a ball.
No, I agree with you. I can't really add much more to it other than he would frustrate the living hell out of me because I get frustrated watching other teams when they got big shot whip.
Yeah.
Not enough of it.
Scary. But right, the other team we're going to look at is the one I've just appointed a brand new manager.
West Brom.
There's West Brom, but then where's Roy gone?
Oh, Roy's gone to Watford.
Yeah, Roy and Watford. We're not talking Watford. We are talking Everton.
Oh, Frankie.
So this is strange.
Super goals.
Yeah, so it's a bit of a strange one because there was actually a transfer made under Rafa Benitez through the window, which is Vitaly Milenko, as well as Nathan Patterson.
Oh yeah, so he was a Rangers fullback. They're the 2 fullbacks, yeah.
Yeah, Milenko's a left back, so I think he's brought in to eventually play.
He's the young Ukrainian thing,
it's come from Dynamo Kiev. But the 3 ones that have happened since Lampard's taken over, one I find very strange is Algezi from Aston Villa.
Yeah, well, I think these two loan sides, the other one's going to mention Van der Beek.
Yeah.
I've got a feeling they happened, or began before Benitez went as well. Certainly in the process of, and he must have ratified them. Yeah, but Alghazi's bizarre.
Yeah,
he's just a bang average player, isn't he?
If that, every now and again he does all right for Villa, but
I don't really know where he plays.
He'd say he's a winger, but he kind of drifts in a lot anyway. But I wouldn't say anything different to what Townsend brings.
Townsend's better for me.
Yeah, but then interesting is the next 2. Van der Beek is obviously, I'm still going to say, untried and untested in the Premiership because he's never been given a good run of games. We've never seen him in that. His stats before he arrived, and I read about his stats. Yeah. His stats were phenomenal,
and whenever I've seen him play, obviously he was part of the Ajax side that Spurs famously won. But those 2 legs and in that period of time, he was class.
Yeah.
Because they hijacked that because he was about to go to Palace, wasn't he?
Yeah.
And Everton hijacked that. Obviously, a bit closer to home, I'm guessing.
Yeah. And the other one is a strange one, and we sat off air this and debated this, and I can't work out. I think I'm going to side with Everton. Have got the better deal out of this because they've obviously bought Dele Alli for a minimal fee up front with lots of add-ins that could eventually equate to 40 million, which I think from an Everton point of view is, if he's not playing and Dele Alli is broke, which we hope he isn't, if Dele Alli is broke, he's never going to get them appearances that are then going to make Everton then pay out because they'll just get rid of him.
Yeah.
They'll just be shipped out. So Spurs will be very lucky if they get the 40 million. And if they do get the 40 million, that means Everton have got a £70 million player.
Agree with you. I think that it's a great move for Everton. I think personally it's a great move for Dele because as much as I'd love to see him stay at Spurs, and everybody listening to this podcast knows that I'm a huge fan, and I'll be honest, I said to you off air, I don't think his performances when he's played have been as bad as what people have made out. I just don't think he's hit the heights that we expect, and I don't think he's been given a long enough run in the team to do what we know he does best, and that's scoring goals from midfield. played in a various amounts of positions. And I know, well, not for a fact, but reading the forums, the different Spurs things I follow, that they wanted the loan move. I think Conte wanted to send him out on loan in the hope that if he does rekindle the Dele of old, that he'll come back. But Everton couldn't have the loan because of the 2 loans they'd already got. So I think you're dead right, because I think the first instalment, I think, is 10 million after 20 games, but I don't think he can play 20 games. I'm assuming that's Premiership games. I don't know. But anyway, so I don't think they have to fork out the 10 million probably until the end of the year at the earliest, maybe even the beginning of next season. And like you say, if all of a sudden we obviously don't know what the increments are and the add-ons, other than it's team and player related and maximum 40 million, you're dead right. If they have to end up paying 40 million, it means he's done well. It means they've probably done well. So in the first instance, getting way out of relegation trouble here, and then moving forward, challenging top 6 or whatever, or cup come one or whatever it might be. And like you say, that means all of a sudden the Dele Alli of old's back, which means he's a 50, 60, 70, 80 million pound player, because he is only 25.
Yeah.
From a Spurs point of view, I think they've obviously got it to get his wages off the books to try and help this rebuild that Conte obviously wants to oversee. I think looking again at the players you follow on social media and some of the forums, I think all of a sudden even some of the fans who have been sort of calling him realise, what if? But fair to Spurs, I think they've not blocked it, because I think they realised that actually there's a player still there and actually he needs to go play football.
Yeah. Right, we're going to quickly look at Liverpool and City, and then we'll do a little bit of Spurs.
Okay.
Liverpool have obviously signed Luis Diaz on the back of Spurs trying to get involved. Has forced Liverpool's hand a little bit, because I know Liverpool weren't wanting to get until the summer.
But they reckon it's saved you a bit of money as well, I was reading. Because Spurs went in low ball, typical Daniel Levy, and looks like they were going to get him for, I can't think, did you pay 60 million?
45.
45. So yeah. I think Spurs went in lower than that, and then
49.
49. So I think Spurs going in lower than that, which they would have done. They looked like they were going to do a deal at maybe 45, and Liverpool have gone.
Well, I believe Liverpool offered exactly the same Spurs did.
Yeah.
And it was just down to the choice.
So yeah, but that's what I mean. They matched it, and then it was down to a player's choice. But rumour has it that Liverpool were expecting to play somewhere close to between 60 and 80 million for him in the summer. So we've actually done you a favour, mate.
Thanks for that. No, but yeah, interesting player. Comes in off the left-hand side, good with either foot, very, very pacey. Scored a few goals, a few assists this season for Porto. Colombian.
Yeah. What do you think that means? Do you think that means he's looking to offload Mane?
I think...
Or the other squad players, the likes of Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain, those guys?
Yeah, I think James Milner's out this year. He goes.
Yeah. He was at the golf last week.
Yeah, Ox won't have too much longer, but I think his position is to potentially look at Mane's. But I think what he's doing now is, if you look the last 2 buy-ins, we look at Jota, we look at Diaz now. You have got young potentials that then we'll look at replacing the likes of Mane, Bobby, Salah. We've got Caden Gordon, who's coming up through at 17 years old. That looks a really good player. I don't think Harvey's going to play in that position. I think Harvey will play more central, which is what he was doing, and he's back playing now.
Yeah, show me. Yeah.
Good bit of footage on him last week. So interested in Liverpool doing that deal. I don't know how much we'll actually see of him this season, but I think they'll give him a few games here and there and see how he adapts to the Premiership. Yeah. But exciting times for Liverpool. Finally get paying somebody. And then City bought Julian Alves, this potential superstar from Brazil. But we've heard that so many more times before. Yeah. Paid 14 million, so a snippet. Left him where he is for the time being. They'll pick him up in 5 months' time, I believe. He'll pop over, and then they'll have a real look at him. But supposedly right foot, left foot, not shy on either side. But a far buy from the last player they were linked with, which was Harry Kane.
Yeah, I think I said to you, I don't know much about this lad other than what you've read, but I think it's clear that even though City are doing well, I think it's still clear that they need a striker or a goal scorer. And I said to you, that I was reading an article, I can't remember what newspaper it was in, yesterday, saying that insiders at City are now regretting I'm not saying paying 150 million for Kane, what Levy was asking, but being a bit more patient with that deal to get basically to sign Kane. Instead, they went and spent their money on Grealish, because obviously Grealish at the minute's not really come to fruition because the other guy. They've got so many of that types of player, haven't they?
Yeah.
And you mentioned it right at the beginning. Knows a lot more about football and the gameplay than me. That does he really suit City's play because he likes to keep hold of the ball. He certainly found it difficult to adapt. So, yeah, I mean, 14 million as opposed to even if they had to spend 120 million on is different. And they're probably going to be champions again without a goal scorer, aren't they? So,
but yeah, miles away from where they are now. Moving on to Spurs now.
Can I just say, take us that long to do it? It's actually got dark
It's
outside.
actually pitch black. Honestly, we're having an absolute disaster. Well, Jack's having a disaster. My car's having a disaster.
I've not had a disaster at all. I've cleaned up since I've been in. I've cooked you, what would we call it, afternoon 11s or whatever at 3 o'clock.
Afternoon 11s at 3 o'clock.
Whatever it is.
We had a barbecue. We had an early barbecue.
Yeah,
anyway, let's move on to Spurs. So I think the big one for you guys is obviously the bringing in of the two Juventus boys. One's on loan, one you've bought.
Yeah.
From all reports I've read coming out of Italy, both very exciting players and with huge prospects.
Yeah, and I see the midfielder, I can't remember, Bentancur or whatever his name is, score for Uruguay the other night. I think he's Uruguayan, and looks a big boy, and apparently a box-to-box midfielder. So, I mean, I'm not quite sure. I don't know. It depends how creative it is, but I think it doesn't bode too well in terms of if you're a Spurs fan expecting some attractive-looking football for the remaining season. I don't think it bodes well because we've got rid of all our. We didn't have money. We just talked about Dele. He's not that kind of creativeness, but he's got little touches in around the box. And Ndombele, obviously gone on, which he has got some, but he's obviously not worked out. So he's kept. I mean, who would have thought that Harry Winks and Skip have held on over those two?
Yeah.
I think it points towards a little bit like, we're going to make sure we don't concede and we'll try and rely on Kane and Son to score the goals. But apparently a very good player, box-to-box midfielder.
But this Kuleveski, is he a winger?
He's a winger, a wide player, forward, yeah. So
that's a bit of a strange one because you've got this guy on loan, but you've just sent Gil on loan.
Yeah.
Who didn't do too badly in Spans.
Yeah, and in all honesty, I don't think he's been given a chance. Certainly not at sort of first team level or Premier League level or whatever you want to call it. So yeah, he's gone back out on loan, which is a bit bizarre. Lo Celso's gone, which is the other creativeness. So he's obviously decided on players, hasn't he? He's obviously decided Dele's not going to fit, Ndombele's not going to fit, Lo Celso's not fitting, probably even Gil maybe not going to fit. So I'm going to bring my own players in. I'm going to stick with, because what you do get from Højbjerg, Winks, Skip, you get all they've got, don't you, every game. Yeah. He's obviously going to try and utilise, because they're not going to the striker, utilise Bergwijn, I would think, or Son as the second striker or the number 10, depending on what system he plays or when they're fit. And then he's still got one or the other wide, and then this other fella wide as well. So we'll see. I mean, I think at one point it looked like we weren't going to do any business, and people were getting, and rightly so, going, if we don't do anything, he'll walk.
Yeah.
And it still wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah, I think for me, the interesting one is, and Ndombele's not gone. He's only on loan. And Lo Celso, again, only another loan.
Yeah.
So there's not a guarantee that you've off them two. They could be back. And I don't think Lo Celso's the worst, but again, if you're talking about top four, is he a top four player? Probably not.
No.
And Ndombele, he's probably just a big hike on your wage bill.
Massive.
Sat there supping money.
Yeah, and they've both got options to buy at the end of it, I think. But interesting enough, even on Ndombele said, I'm still a Tottenham player. Bear in mind, he's gone back to the side that we signed him from, which is his club.
Very
so
strange.
We'll see. I mean, obviously the problem with Ndombele will be the large fee and the wages for anybody looking to buy him. And why would you do that when he's done nothing in 4 years or 3 years? I mean, let's be honest. Yeah. We'll see. I mean, you've just got to back him, haven't you?
Yeah. Right. Well, concludes the end of the show. It is now 3 days after we first started.
We're meant to be going out for some socialising, but I think it's bedtime, isn't it?
Yeah, it's not far off. It's only taken 6 hours to record this podcast. There is no fancy football because we're still waiting on final fixture with Burnley, which is tonight.
Yeah.
Tomorrow.
One last thing before we go. Transfer. Jermaine Defoe.
Oh,
what a legend.
See, somebody, Matty Aldridge said this to me in the office. Jermaine Defoe, Sunderland, what a signing. I'm like, no, it's not. It is, again, that romantic element of football. You need to take the romance out of it. This guy is past it and will not score. I'll tell you what, I'll throw it out there. Between now and the end of the season, he will not score more than 8 goals.
That's harsh. 8's quite a lot, though, between now and the end of the season.
He's in League One.
Oh,
as this supposed
legend. If he scores 8 goals or more, you're going to wear a Sunderland shirt.
Okay.
You're just a bit grumpy because of insurance.
I'll tell you what. Let's make this interesting. If he scores more than 8, I'll wear a Man United top. If he scores 7 or less, you've got to wear an Arsenal top.
All right, deal. But at the end of the day, Stu,
what do we know?